Hey there, this is the Shadow Ranger, and this is a quick response to EpicEricShow. Did a video about Taryn Terrel, aka Tiffany, talking about going to TNA if the opportunity arose, and he asked for our opinions on if we think Tiffany would be a good fit in TNA and if TNA should hire Tiffany. And my answer is no. TNA should not hire Tiffany for the simple fact of I have a question. To do what? To do what? What would you do with Tiffany in TNA? What does she bring to the table? What does she add? What would she add to the knockouts that isn't already there? Her wrestling ability is mediocre at best. And while she's smoking hot, they got plenty of hot chicks. I mean, my simple question would be simply, anybody who thinks TNA should hire Tiffany, I ask you, what do you do with her? Book me some Tiffany storylines. I'm always been of the opinion that if you're going to bring somebody in that you have stuff planned for. I feel like if you don't have at least, a good 5, maybe 6 months of material ready to do with somebody who's a well-known name, don't bother bringing them in. You bring in Tiffany, what do you do with her? She's, I was just recently, actually just like maybe 15 minutes ago, was reading an article with somebody where Maria Kanellis did an interview where somebody asked her about going to TNA, and she said she hasn't talked with anybody in TNA. It's the same thing, Maria's a cute girl, but her wrestling ability is mediocre, and what do you do with her? Tiffany is, if she trains and gets better in the ring where she can keep up with the knockouts, because they've set a higher standard for the knockouts, and while it has dipped a little bit over the past year, the rumors of supposedly future signing the new talent coming in is going to kick that wrestling standard for them back up, and she just doesn't have it to keep up with it. I mean, you have people like Velvet Sky, but Velvet has a great gimmick and people in TNA know her very well. Tiffany would be just kind of new. Again, I asked, what do you do with her? She's sort of like a make work woman, and TNA has done this with former WWE talent and former ECW talent in the past, and they always get bashed for it, and I really wish they wouldn't do it as much. It's like, you're gonna make work for her. You hire. It's kind of like Taz. I feel like TNA hired Taz just so they could say, we have Taz. And then they just put him as a commentator. They had him with Samoa Joe for a few minutes, and knowing that, well, Joe didn't need a manager. So then they just stuck him on commentary. And Tiffany would be the same way. What you would hire Tiffany just to say you had her. Just to say, oh look, Tiffany's here. Hey, just so the very few Tiffany fans out there might tune in once or twice, and that's only when she's on TV. And with the large crowd and limited airtime that TNA has, very few people in TNA get to be on TV every week. Only the people at the top of the card are on TV every week in TNA. And the amount of money you have to spend to bring in Tiffany isn't worth the very small number of fans that she would bring with her. I mean, for TNA right now, they're still a company growing. They're still less than 10 years old, and a lot of it comes down to them trying to get TV ratings and pay-per-view buys. And I mentioned this in one of my older videos. How many people who don't watch TNA will start watching TNA because Taryn Terrel is there. Tiffany's there. And not to be insulting to Tiffany when I say it, but you know, she's not that much of a draw. People who are gonna watch to see her are probably already watching. You know, that's my question to anybody else who sees this video. To anybody who sees this video that doesn't watch TNA, you don't like TNA, you're not a TNA fan. Is Tiffany being signed gonna make you a fan? If she gets hired, you're gonna watch? You gonna buy pay-per-views because Tiffany's on them? I don't think people are. So Tiffany, nice girl, but until you have something legit to do with her, no reason to bring her in. Like I said, you know, hey, anybody who thinks she should be brought in, who would you put her with? Book me 6 months of Tiffany storyline. And I think, you know, and I know some people are going to say, well, we could have her manage somebody, but you could have anybody as a manager. Anything Tiffany can do, you could get a hot girl from the indies who could do it just as well and will do it for less money. Now, anything Tiffany could do, Cookie can do. That's really the level she's on. So wow, this is 6.5 minutes, and which is about 6 minutes longer than it needed to be. So again, Tiffany, nice girl. Can't see any reason for her to go to TNA. Can't think of anything relevant that she could do that you couldn't get someone else to do for a lot cheaper. Alright, this is the Shadow Ranger. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.